And good morning, everyone. Welcome to the podcast starring me, Carter, not Nick, not him at all. Say hello to my co-host this week, Nick.
Hey guys, it's actually afternoon.
Oh yeah, it's afternoon.
So good afternoon.
Yeah, started a little late. Had some. We're recording this after the fourth.
America.
Yeah. When we declared our independence, after a little event, you might have heard of it. It's called World War One. Might get your,
Wasn't. I thought it was 1812.
Yeah. Isn't that World War One?
We fought Britain, and we. No, you're right.
Yeah. When the second Death Star was only half built but still operational, so we had to, with the help of all those little bears that no one likes, we saved the day. Saved the galaxy.
Ewoks.
Hey, I love the Ewoks. I was just making humor. I love.
Ewoks.
You know what? F anyone who doesn't like the Ewoks.
Yeah, really. Come on, man. Who doesn't love an Ewok?
Wait,
granted, they're a little creepy.
This has already gone off the deep end. Welcome, everyone. How are you?
It really has.
So we were going to kick off. 4th of July celebrating. That was pretty fun. We went over to our friend Ben's house, had a big party there. He just had a literal stockpile of fireworks for no reason.
It was a friend of a friend who he works with didn't want all of these fireworks. We're talking a lot of fireworks.
Yeah, like Roman candles.
Yeah.
Those little ones that are on a stick.
I don't even know any of the technical names for any of these fireworks.
Yeah. So we were all fired up for that. We ended up getting off a few of them, and then it just started pouring rain.
Pouring down rain.
So
they thought the rain could stop us from setting off fireworks? No.
They were wrong.
America.
We kept fighting. Fighting, in the, to honor all of those, early colonial guys who would cross Delaware rivers and smash tea boxes, and really should have cracked open a textbook before we started this episode. But okay,
what a great bunch of guys.
Yeah, great bunch of guys. So we kept trying. The problem is I forgot to bring a lighter, so all we had was matches, and that was a disaster.
Matches wouldn't light because it was too wet.
And then we
made a fire.
Yeah, for some reason someone thought it was a good idea to take this little fire pit he had and just make a fire. Which was kind of fine because it scared away the bugs, and it also kept us warm or relatively dry. So then we were lighting up sticks, which I was terrified by. Because I'm like, all you have to do is heat up the base, and your hand's gone. It's going over the
It all ended up being great.
Yeah, it ended up being great. We got a few off. There was one that kept putting out that we were all terrified by, because it's like as the wick keeps getting shorter and shorter...
The rain kept putting it out.
Yeah. It's like as the wick keeps getting shorter and shorter, you're like, oh god, we're going to have to
The best part was, though, you only need one person to light it, and there were about 4 of us standing around
we all
for no reason.
Well, that was you guys. For the most part, I tried to keep my distance.
Just waiting around just to see if it would actually work.
To be honest, when people do PSAs about fireworks safety, we violated at least 18 different, amendments. But it was pretty fun.
Hey.
Then one exploded a foot off the ground, and that's when you sort of realize things we should probably check out.
That was great.
So then we ended up just playing ping pong in a garage, and also Catan, which is a very fun board game. Played it for the first time.
Good game.
I threatened someone's life. Had a bunch of bro conversations, lifted weights, nodded stoically at very sad moments in action films. The usual stuff.
Wow.
Yeah.
I must have missed that.
Yeah, you left.
I left early. Yeah. Hate to see it.
I left earlier than you did, because you guys were trying to help clean up, and I just left because I was mad about the board game.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I hope y'all had a fun 4th of July, all of our American viewers, and
that one viewer that's not from America.
I checked our analytics. We got someone from the Philippines, man.
Hey, man.
Yeah. I mean,
we're going global.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess for us, 4th of July for you is that day you had to deal with America, so sorry.
Yeah, I was reading something today online that said there's a news service called The Skim that I get to my email. It's very good at just kind of summarizing the top events of the day. And it said, Great Britain didn't have a very good 4th of July. And I was like, well, of course they didn't. They don't celebrate the 4th of July. It's not a holiday. It's a day that they'd rather not remember.
Well, now they're like, it's our British independence. Yeah, because we left the EU. Yeah. There's a reason why so many countries celebrate their independence, Britain.
Yeah, I was reading a little bit about that today. After your, was that 2 weeks ago now, or was that just
That
last
was a week ago.
Just last week, went off about that.
I don't want to get too much into it.
You're right. We can't. Go down that road.
Because now
again.
it's just descending into like political anarchy. Because it's like, oh yeah, Michael Grove stabbed Boris Johnson in the back, so now Boris isn't going to run for prime minister. But the Labour leader, well, see, pretty much everyone's resigning. Every notable leader is resigning, except the leader of the Labour Party, who most people blame for this because he was terrible at selling the Remain campaign. And a part of me wants him to stay, even though he's a horrible dude, just because I don't want to validate all the people who voted in protest of, like, I don't like this guy, so I'm going to vote to leave, even though I know that's the wrong decision. Like, I don't want to validate that. Never validate protest votes, because that's how Donald Trump gets into the White House.
We've gotten here, and now no one wants to step up and take the reins.
Yeah.
No one wants to be PM. What's going on with that? Jeez Louise.
It's, well, because, none of them actually want to leave, except maybe Nigel Farage, because he's a this is a kid's show, I can't say that.
Yeah. Well.
Because he's the kind of guy who, after they voted leave, went to an EU meeting and then just waved his English muffins around about how he's like, you guys didn't believe we'd leave and I did it. So maybe he does. And regardless of what you vote, it is the end of your political campaign. If you say, I am going to initiate the leave process, you are done. If you don't do that, then you're going to get outvoted by the 52% who voted to leave. It's like you're effed either way, essentially.
What does it say about us that we started talking about the 4th of July and ended up in Great Britain?
Well, because, people are always like, Americans, you only think about yourselves, it's a big old world. So, I guess...
Share the love a little bit.
So Cuba, sorry for occupying
Spread it
you.
around.
Sorry for the American-Filipino War. Sorry for mistreating Puerto Rico. Sorry, let's just throw some apologies around.
Yeah.
Sorry, sorry if were we involved in the Boxer? I don't think we were involved in the Boxer Rebellion. We're off the hook on that one. I should have read up more. But, wait, what? I feel like we've already gone off the rails.
Yeah,
you know what?
It's too late.
Just say, you know what? It's okay to be proud of being an American, but at the same time, always push to make a better country. Because you should criticize the things you love. You should expect them to continue to get better. We can be an even better country. So it's okay, celebrate 4th of July, but also realize, you know what? We can be even better.
America.
Exactly. Thank you. All right. Moving on. There's a topic I wanted to cover last week that I completely forgot. I saw The Shallows a few weeks ago with my brother and sister.
Oh yes, that's right. I was seeing. It's Blake Lively, right?
Yeah.
Blake Lively in a swimsuit, surfing.
Yes.
That's pretty much what. And there's a shark.
And there's a superhuman shark.
Superhuman
shark?
Well,
no, he's not actually superhuman. It's just that Jaws breed of shark that has magical powers inexplicably. Like, it's way stronger and more, like, evil than a shark should be.
Man. I was watching Shark Week this past week.
I
was down at the beach over the weekend. Man, that's some scary stuff, man.
Especially because there actually are problems with sharks. Like, it used to be like, oh, sharks never attack humans. And it's like, we had like 50 last year.
There were a lot.
Like, the entire East Coast was
in the
on
Outer Banks
lockdown.
for most of the summer last summer. And
he had a job. He had a job for a minor or a baseball team. Let's just say that.
There were a lot. There were a decent amount of shark attacks last summer.
Yeah, and that's terrifying.
It was interesting. Although I must say, I'm not a huge fan of Shark Week, but I did watch a couple of programs. Some of it was interesting. Some of it was like too back and forth. I watched one on like sharks versus dolphins, and they were like, but the sharks have the upper edge because they're curious, but the dolphins have the upper hand because they can echolocate them, but the sharks are ferocious.
So it was sort of like Ultimate Warrior. Or no, what was that show called?
Yep, World's Deadliest Warrior.
Yes, it was like that.
Dude, that was a great show.
Why haven't we gotten a reboot of that? God, we are all over the place today.
We really are.
You know what? No, that needs to be said. Bring that show back.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, I have not caught a bit of Shark Week.
It's over.
How much content can you possibly find about sharks
You would be surprised.
Without doing repeats every year.
You would be surprised.
I guess so. But First, I want to point out. So, it was a pretty packed theater for the second week it was out, or maybe it was the first week. I don't remember. Yeah, I don't remember.
I'm gonna see it's made like how much money has it made so far?
I'm not sure. I think it's doing modest success. It's probably broken its budget because I can't imagine it costs that much to make.
How much do you think it costs? I'm actually not even sure. I think did I see like 9 million?
Look, search up Shallows. Well, see, the problem is you never know how much films really cost because there's no like. You're technically not required to release what your budget was.
I think I saw like 9. I was looking it up before the show. I think I saw about the total grossing was like 9 million. Does it seem like a little over 9 million?
A little more than that.
Yeah, but see, but I don't know. I don't know. Is that just first week? Like,
it's debatable.
Anyway,
anywho, so we get in there, and then the last people to come into a theater are 2 parents and the 3 like 6 or 7-year-olds and an infant. Like literally, she has like the baby holder thing. What? I know it's PG-13, and I know there's like parent digression of what your kid can handle, but come on, guys.
Those kids are never going in the ocean ever again.
Yeah, exactly. Like, who does that? Is it literally you just needed something to do and you couldn't find a babysitter?
I don't know, man. Even if the parents were going on like a date, it's like kind of a strange movie to. I don't know. I guess if you like shark flicks, maybe. Yeah. I don't know.
It was inexplicable. The movie itself, I really dug it. I almost wish it was schlockier though, because it's pretty ridiculous. Do you want me to explain you near one of the final scenes?
Yes. So when I was reading about it, it said that it was pretty good, except that the climax was like totally. What's the word you just used?
Schlocky.
Yeah, people were throwing that word all around. What the heck does it even mean?
Schlocky, like, it's easier to explain the kinds of things that are schlocky. Yeah. Like, people would describe old monster movies as schlocky, with, like, cheap effects and, like, zany. Like, it's it's like a subgenre of film that a lot of people like. Because, you know... Because, you know, when done right, it's earnest and silly and fun and entertaining.
So people were saying besides the climax being super schlocky.
But I wish it was schlockier, to be honest.
Okay.
All right. So
I'll hear it out.
So, all right, the main crux is she really wants to find this secret beach that her mom went to a long time ago.
Right.
And so she goes, and she's having a great time. And all of a sudden, there's a dead whale in the middle. Yeah, they don't show that in any of the clips. There's a dead whale carcass floating around for like 80% of this film. And she goes near it, and all of a sudden, the shark knocks her off her board, which is just like one of the most brutal scenes in the movie because it's just like slow-mo, bash her head against the rock.
She hits her head against the bottom
that's
of it.
Nasty. Yeah. But I will say the build-up to the shark was pretty good because there's like 3 or 4 moments where you're like, oh, this is it. And then it like really catches... It actually blindsides you just a little bit. And I'm like, you know what? We've been expecting this moment for almost 15 minutes. So good job for actually making it a little jumping.
Yeah, I was watching a couple of clips. So one time the dolphins came up instead of the shark, you were like, oh?
Yeah.
Then,
yeah, there was that
dolphins.
Bit. Yeah, it was actually well executed.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so she ends up on a rock that's only available around low tide. So she only has like... she's been bit, so she has to, and like the subplot is, of course, she's like a medical student, so she's like using her earrings to like stitch up the wound and like using her stretchy clothes to like tie a tourniquet. Yeah, that's like, it's one of those movies where the main character has one weakness that is explicitly stated by other characters. It's like, oh, she's giving up on her medical profession because she was going to become a nurse, but now she doesn't want to because she's disillusioned, which we'll get to why in a second, but I want to focus on the end. Anyway, so she realizes she's got to get to this buoy because that's the only place she'll be safe once high tide comes. She manages to make it because because she realizes the shark hates jellyfish, or like because there's this coral that stings like jellyfish that the shark hits and runs away from. So she's swimming through jellyfish to get away, and she gets on there. She ends up finding a flare, and she tries to signal a boat, but it doesn't work. And because this whale has been in the water so long, there's all of this whale oil, because apparently that's very flammable. I learned that from the video game Dishonored. Okay. And the shark's swimming around in it, and she points the gun. It's actually a pretty nuts scene. Like, she keeps trying to shoot it with the flare gun, and she goes, F you. And the shark gets set on fire, and you're like, yeah, she wins. Shark jumps into the air, like 10 feet, dives back into the water, the fire goes out, and she just goes... and then they get into like a fight where it keeps ripping through the buoy, and the buoy is chained to the ground, and below it are all these jagged metal pieces from that are all rusted and corroded. So she's like holding on to the chain of the buoy. It breaks off, so sending her like diving toward the ground, and the shark's behind her. She lets go, gets out of the way. The shark just gets impaled. Oh yeah, I'll put a spoiler warning in the description. And like that's how it kills him. And I'm like, that's actually a pretty nuts ending. But the trailers made it seem like it was going to be even crazier because the guy who drops her off at the beach in the trailers, he's always like looking suspiciously at the water, and I'm like, oh man, is this some kind of like, is he going to be like, is the shark like his wife and he's like feeding her, or is it like a blood ritual, or is this a trailer for Street Sharks? Like I was expecting all this crazy stuff, and I'm like, oh, it's just a shark. Oh, that's kind of disappointing.
So wait, what stabs the shark at the end? Just
like,
all the metal
there's
pieces?
all this jagged metal bits on the seafloor under the buoy, because I guess like all the support beams and stuff have broken off. I don't know how to describe it really. Anyway, so there's two bits. There are two things, like, you know, it's mostly just schlocky and ridiculous, but there are two little bits that I thought were actually really clever and like well executed things.
All right.
So the first, I mentioned she's giving up on her medical profession.
Yeah.
And you find that out it's because her mom died of cancer, and now she's like, well, what's the point? I'm not going to be able to save anyone. And the reveal to her mom having cancer is actually very clever, because she keeps looking at this photo of her mom at the beach back in, like, I guess probably the 90s, maybe 80s. So, and then she's like sitting on the beach flipping through pictures, and then it just comes to one of her like bald in like a medical ward looking kind of sickly, and I'm like, I normally hate when movies do that where they show like text and stuff on screen, like, because I just feel like they never do anything interesting with it. I mean, sometimes it looks cool if it fits the tone, but mostly it's just stupid. And I'm like, that's a genuinely cool way of using technology to like tell your story. Like, it reminded me of a bit in Rise of the Planet of the Apes, the second one in the new series.
Okay.
Where the whole human subplot is they want to power up this dam so they can get electricity again.
Right.
And once they get electricity, Gary Oldman character, who's sort of the leader, the first thing he does is rush up to his like little room and plugs in an iPad to the socket. And the minute it turns on, he goes to his photos and he looks at a picture of his kids and starts crying. And you realize, oh yeah, because of technology, all of our pictures are digital. So if something were to happen, we wouldn't get to see those pictures. And it's like, oh, this is the first time he's seen his kid in years, and that's depressing. It reminded me of that, where it's like a film that knows how to use technology in a smart storytelling way.
Yeah.
You don't have enough of that, if you ask me.
Okay.
So good on the writers or director, whoever designed that scene. That's a very smart scene in this movie. Also, so it's nighttime, and she's stranded on this rock, and she notices there's a guy passed out drunk on the beach, and she starts screaming for him. He wakes up, she points over to her bag, and the guy walks over, and she's like, grab my phone! And then he sort of just starts pocketing everything, and I'm like, and a part of me is kind of like, oh, come on, of course the local is a thief, because it's in Mexico, and I'm like, oh, of course they'd have the one local be a thief and like a scoundrel. I'm like, oh, come on, guys, really? That's, your movie was pretty tasteful up until then, for the most part. And that, you hate to see it. But there's some good, there are a bunch of locals help her out too, though. So I guess it's sort of the cosmic scales balance out, I think.
Okay.
Then he notices her board's out there, and for some reason he decides, I'm going to steal that too. And she tried to go for it before, but the shark scared her back. And she's like, no, don't go in the water, there's a shark. And he's swimming, and then you see the shark coming for it. It cuts to her just like, oh, and you're like, oh, so they're not going to show us what happened. And it just cuts back to him back on the beach, crawling, bottom half separated from his body until he drops. And I'm like, that's a genuinely ooh, that is spooky, and that was like surprising. Good job. Like, those are the two bits in this movie that are well executed, regardless of whether it's schlock or not. Really good. I would recommend the film. It's pretty silly. I mean, boy howdy do they like those cheesecake shots of Blake Lively, though. Like, when she's putting on her outfit, you can see her butt a little bit, and like they do a close-up, and I'm like, can you have us? And a part of me is like, can you really have it both ways? Can you have like this competent, like, tough female
medical
protagonist.
student
Yeah,
protagonist.
like competent, like all around good female protagonist, but also have all of these like gratuitous shots of her. And I'm like, I guess I'm probably not qualified to expound on that. Yeah, that pretty much covers my thoughts on The Shallows. I would recommend it. If you haven't seen Finding Dory, go see it. If you haven't seen the BFG, see either one. I guess it's
Did you see the BFG?
not yet.
Hmm.
I just want, I like Spielberg.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm gonna end up seeing it soon because his last movie was probably my favorite of last year. Anyway, Bridge of Spies. Anyway, so shall we move on to our next topic?
Our next topic.
Kevin Durant.
The sports world broke yesterday when
Yeah.
Kevin Durant signed a 2-year deal with the Golden State Warriors.
I really like Kevin Durant. I really
I do too.
Because he seems like a cool guy. He's like he seems pretty humble. Like that "You the Real MVP" thing came one of a great meme.
Yeah.
Like,
nope.
And
right.
he see
right.
like, and most people, if their team moved from Seattle to Oklahoma City, they would have bailed, and he stuck with it, got to a championship,
Yep.
made a really good young franchise, and you know what? I know we were ripping on Stephen A. Smith before, but he was really on point with this of like, you know what? Say whatever you want about LeBron James. When he joined the Miami Heat were like a 3rd seed at best. They were a team that didn't have what it takes to get over the championship. He made them a championship team. Golden State were probably going to get back to the Western Conference Finals next year, at least. And for Kevin Durant to lose 3 games straight, to get blindsided by Golden State, to then join the team, feels like that kid who gets beat up by a bully and then just is desperate to become friends with them. Stephen Curry is probably like, all right, Kevin, now eat this spider. I don't want to eat this spider. Eat it if you want to hang out with us. Okay.
See,
we change our minds. You're not cool.
But it's so hard because there's so many sides to this story. And of course that's one of them, and it is kind of puzzling. Not even really, I don't even look at it that way. But from the opposite side, from the Oklahoma City standpoint of that side of the argument, again, so
Yeah.
the multiple sides to this argument are just never ending. But what, like, you had 3 separate chances to defeat the reigning world champions in the Western Conference Finals with your current team. You were unable to do it. So instead of sticking around and having the confidence in that team to be able to do it again?
How bad must have Oklahoma City's pitch been that he was like, yeah, we're not going to win a championship?
Well, but that's the thing, didn't he say
what
that?
The hell did they say to him?
Oklahoma City met with him for like 5 hours, and he said it would be pretty tough for him to go somewhere else.
He was
which
probably
makes
just
me
saying
think
that.
like, man, I don't know. I mean, you had the defending world champions on the ropes, 3-1 in the Western Conference Finals, and you could
they
return
just blitz you.
You could return most of the same team back. Granted, Serge Ibaka has
you
since
turned
left.
one of the most composed teams in the NBA to a bunch of bickering guys who kick the opposing team in the gonads.
Come on, man.
Hey,
I'm calling it how I see it. This isn't about
Draymond. I'm calling it how I see it, Nick. I'm calling it how I see it.
Oh, man. I don't know. Going back to Stephen A. Smith's thing, though.
But it's true, though. It's like...
It
just looks really bad that it's like, all right, the only way I have to chase this ring, so I'm going to go to the team.
But wait a minute. But how can we say that in America as a whole, a land of opportunity, you have to go where the opportunities are to further yourself?
That's what I said about LeBron, and everyone said I was stupid.
I did not say that you were stupid about that.
I know, but that's because we're friends, and you wouldn't say that.
But listen, it is hard. And listen, I agree, and I hear what you're saying, and I hear what Stephen A. Smith is saying, and there are parts of it that are true. But how can we deny Kevin Durant from going to a place where you have to think there's almost a guaranteed shot now to win at least one championship in that first 2-year deal that he has? Maybe he signs. For a longer contract after that. How can we sit here and point fingers and say, wow, I can't believe that you did that. I can't believe that you went to a team that's almost going to guarantee you a spot in the playoffs and maybe win some NBA championships. How dare you? What does that say? Like, it's.
Well, I'm just glad that people aren't being hypocrites about this, where it's like, oh, we'll crap on LeBron. It's like Kevin Durant's getting, like, I'm glad at least we're being fair that it's like, all right, if we're going to criticize one guy for this, we should criticize the other.
No.
I'd rather not criticize either of them because I like both players and I understand that they want to win championships. But at the same time, it is kind of like, I don't know, it's just a bummer that it's like, you know, the only way he saw he could win this is to go, like, weak. And now it's like, well, who else is going to stop them in the West? Because it's like Oklahoma City's done. San Antonio is a little too old.
Yeah, well,
you know,
San Antonio is making some moves.
I know,
in the
but
offseason.
I just don't think they're gonna like. And then Portland doesn't seem to quite have enough to get over the hump yet.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I mean, who else is in the West?
Yeah, it's
Dallas is a non-starter. I mean, I can't even think of another team who might even have a chance to beat Golden State now, unless this chemistry doesn't work out.
Well, but that's what people are saying. Well, maybe they've got 4 superstars on that team. How is there going to be enough? I mean, how is there going to be enough ball to go around? But I've seen a lot of people discredit that by saying the Golden State Warriors are one of the best passing teams in the NBA. So I don't think that that's an issue. But there's always a question, not necessarily an issue right away, but there's always a question of whether the chemistry is going to be there.
Yeah.
Not necessarily whether everyone's going to be happy and whether they're all going to get the ball enough. I don't think that's going to be a problem. But whether the chemistry is just going to, whether they're going to be able to click as a team in their first year
Well,
and be as good as everyone thinks.
My biggest thing is, like, I'm thinking they might end up in this. They might end up now having, because the big difference between them and the Cavaliers was the Cavaliers needed to have LeBron James and/or Kyrie Irving in at all times to even have a chance to win. The way the team was designed is, if they had their like B team in, they were going to lose that game. Whereas Golden State could have their like second stringers in and still be a competitive team. You're gutting that a little bit by getting because they've already lost Andrew Bogut. Harrison Barnes, I'm like, well, he did choke really bad, but he helped them.
He's a good player there. He's a good player.
So you lose. Well, and that's also you lose your big man. If I were Cleveland, I'd be like, we need to get a really, really, really good center, no matter what. If we can get Dwight Howard, we might need to go for it. If we can get like. If you can
Dwight
get a
Howard's already signed a deal with the Hawks.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
The Hawks?
Yeah.
I didn't hear about boy. I feel bad for Dwight Howard. I feel like he's the one guy, because he was another guy who came out of high school and was, like, a superstar, and it's like, I feel like he's wasted, he hasn't had a chance to spread his wings. So, all right, so they need to find someone else. They just need a center, because then it's like, all right, we can't beat you at the perimeter, but we are just going to outbig you. We're going to get Kevin Love to get a little tougher. We're just going to power you into submission.
Well, and the Warriors just signed a new center to a 1-year deal.
Who?
That's what I'm trying to think. I can't come up with his name right now. It's something. Oh boy. Zaza Pachulia. There he is. Zaza Pachulia, and I can't say that I know a lot about this guy. It says he averaged about 9 points, 9 rebounds a game
for the Mavericks.
For the Mavericks last season.
Okay. How tall is he?
I don't even know. The point is that it sounded like the immediate thought that came to my mind was when Andrew Bogut they knew was going to go to the Mavs. And then they decided that they would unrestrict Festus Ezeli as a free agent. There was a good chance that both of them were going to leave, so they would need someone at center. And it sounds like that they've picked up this guy at least for this year to give them what they need to be competitive, or to at least have a standard 5 player to round out that lineup.
Is Iguodala gonna stay?
I believe in Andre Iguodala is
that was my big
thing.
If they had to get rid of Iguodala, that would be the Cavs' dream. Because we're just assuming it's going to be Cavs Golden State again, right?
I think
until another team proves they can.
I think that's what everyone is saying.
Until another team proves otherwise.
Yeah.
Because if they lost Iguodala too, then LeBron would have a field day. Because the only two people who could stop him are Draymond, occasionally Harrison Barnes, and Iguodala. And if you lose two of those guys, then LeBron is just going to go roughshod.
Yeah.
But if they can keep Iguodala, I think they'll be okay. As much as I don't like Iguodala.
And it's interesting to see, not that social media wasn't around back when LeBron made his decision, but how much social media has grown and how it's portrayed Kevin Durant in this decision in 2016.
It has gotten exponentially larger.
And it's almost made him out to be the villain.
And I don't want him to be the villain because he seems like a really, really nice guy.
It's really interesting, though. I mean, I don't know if you...
Like, nothing I've seen of him suggests he's a jerk or a bad guy.
I agree.
Or evil or has malicious intent or is even that egotistical, which, to be honest, I wouldn't blame him for it because he's like the second or third best basketball player on the planet.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't like it. Just this whole thing makes me feel uncomfortable.
Yeah. And people were... And that's the thing, like, people were digging back into his Twitter, and they found that... were you on Twitter at all when this broke?
Yeah, but I don't really follow any sports guys, so I didn't really get any of that, to be honest.
Kevin Durant's tweet, and I just had it, and then I just lost it.
I mean, I don't... Like, Little B wrote a song called F. Kevin Durant, and I don't want that to be true. F. Kevin Durant.
They went back to 2010, July 16th, 2010, and pulled a tweet from Kevin Durant.
That's just unhealthy. If you're getting that far back in someone's internet history,
but that's what I mean, and this is what we've come to, is that people, as soon as someone sees something, there are people on the internet that say, oh, we have to go figure out and see if Kevin Durant has ever said anything that could compromise himself. And in 2010, he tweeted, now everybody want to play for the Heat and the Lakers. Let's go back to being competitive and going at these peoples. And people are like, oh, look what Kevin Durant said in 2010. Like, he was like so like mad that everyone was stacking the teams, and now he's literally created the NBA's greatest super team of all time. And it's kind of like, I don't know, man. Everyone's making him out to be a villain, and I see that side of it. I can see where the people.
But again, if you have to dig that far back, it's like that's not a normal thing to do. That's unhealthy.
I know, and then the people start comparing. I saw a tweet this morning, like, if an NHL player of the same caliber ever did, like, an NHL player of the same caliber would never do this. And I was like,
there's no one on that.
I was like,
I'm sorry, but it's like it's a completely different.
Yeah, it's like
environment.
People trying to compare, like, all these comparisons.
The culture of basketball versus the culture of hockey is completely different in terms of like what a superstar is. I know. Like Kevin Durant makes like how much more than probably the best hockey player in the world, right?
Yeah.
Like Sidney Crosby. Who are even the best hockey players anymore? Is Ovechkin still considered?
Yeah, it's Sidney Crosby.
It's like no one talks about him. Like it's a completely different environment.
Yeah, and that's my point here. And my point is that there is certainly a side in which Oklahoma City is the fans and the organization which has been very classy about the whole exit. Durant's exit from OKC.
Well, that's what pissed me off most about the whole Cleveland thing. Their owner goes on this whole tirade, you betrayed us. Like, don't worry, we're going to get a championship without him. Just was a complete jacket. But I keep forgetting I should probably keep the swearing to a minimum. He was just a complete douche about it. To the fact that I almost didn't want LeBron to win a championship there, just because I didn't want that guy to be justified.
Yeah.
Where it's like, based on what I've seen so far, Oklahoma City's like, well, okay. We're probably going to have to get rid of Russell Wilson, but,
Russell
Westbrook. Jesus Christmas, that's embarrassing. I'm sorry.
No, that's
I'm here. Here's my sports.
Well, and that was surprising for them to come out and say, if Russell Westbrook doesn't sign an extension, that they'll start shopping trade offers for him, which would be like,
are they really in that mode of like we just gotta blow this whole thing up now?
And that's kind of what I was thinking. About a week ago, you were thinking, man, we got this. We scored this trade. Serge Ibaka goes to Orlando. They get Ilyasova. They get Victor Oladipo. They've got a forward and a guard that can immediately step in and be role players and be perhaps starters on this OKC team. And now it's all of a sudden gone to, well, we might as well just get rid of everyone and rebuild.
Yeah, we might as well just burn it down.
A week later.
We're burning it all down,
and
starting with me.
And it hasn't come to that point yet. but the just the idea that it could reach that point before the season starts, or maybe by the end of next season, it's pretty crazy to think about.
Yeah, that pretty much covers everything I thought about that. I'm just, I don't like Golden State. Don't like them.
Yeah, we know that.
Can't coach with them. Can't do it. Moving on, as Philadelphia enthusiasts, Ben Simmons played his first game. I believe he had 10 points, 8 rebounds.
Yep.
Only 2 for 8 shooting, which is a little rough, or 2 for 9. But, he got to the free throw lot.
Yep.
My biggest takeaway was, holy crap, this guy is an extraordinary passer.
Yeah. And just watching back I missed the game live.
I watched the first 2 quarters live before I came over.
Watching back some of the highlights, his passing ability is pretty incredible. And not just his passing ability, his vision, but getting out in the open court with or without the ball, and the speed that he has and the control that he has, dribbling a basketball at full speed and being able to find his teammates wherever they are on the court has been pretty impressive. Just in the first game that we've seen, and you hope that it only gets better from there.
Yeah, and that sort of kickstarts my whole thing of how to solve our personnel issue, where it's we have too many 4s and 5s. Here's my thought. Okay, Noel is the 5, Okafor and Embiid are 4 and 3, and then we have Simmons as the point guard. I know everyone's that's not his natural position. He won't be comfortable there. It's something that bothers me a lot when we're talking about these guys Noel will never get an offensive game. Okafor is never going to play defense. These guys are 23. None of them have, I'm pretty sure some of them aren't even legally allowed to drink yet.
And I think that...
And it's we can develop them into anything we want with the right coaching.
And I think that in Philadelphia, and just maybe even in the sports world, I think that kind of gets lost in the
these are children.
There, that they're
they aren't
really
that much older
young
than
guys.
Us.
And I even myself get caught up in that sometimes. But it would be so hard to see Ben Simmons play the point and be there for the rest of his career, because I don't think that that's the best way to utilize him. And I think what the Sixers
we can
need...
make it the best way to utilize
But the Sixers need...
At least for this season,
the Sixers need, and what they actually have gotten, is trying to find that true point guard. And it may not be the dynasty guy that they're looking for yet, but they're slowly trying to find someone that could fill in that spot. But you also have to remember, with playing all those big guys, you've got Dario Saric coming back from overseas. He's going to be a big asset to the Sixers team that they'll probably want on the floor. And Dario Saric, I'm not sure, is a 2 type of guy. So it would be tough to keep all 3 of those big men that the Sixers have gotten in the last couple of drafts. I think that one of them is eventually going to have to go. I think that one of them will.
Okay. I think we should at least try this for 1 year, just to see how it looks. Because think about it. If you could have a team where you have each position filled properly, but they're all almost 7 foot, that how would anyone get any rebounds against us? We would be so good.
It would
look cool. It would be a selling point. You get people in the seats. You get people excited.
There's no doubt.
Get it fired up.
There's no doubt.
Fired up.
There is no doubt that this season for the Sixers is coming in. I mean, this season is not coming in under the radar. This season is excitement. We've got all of these draft picks finally healthy. Who are we going to use? We're not sure yet, but you're going to at least see 3 of them out on the floor at the same time.
Yeah.
And there's no question about that.
I'm telling you, man, just work on his lateral speed all summer. I think he could surprise people. I think, he's young, he's still Clay. If we do it now, it could set us up for big success.
I think that it would be tough, even with Ben Simmons running the point, which you could see. You're right. It's. I'm not saying it's the best fit, but it's not out of the question. I mean, Ben Simmons feels like he might be able to He certainly has the athletic ability to run point guard in the NBA, and you saw that if you watched the game last night. But if the Sixers have Simmons, they have Embiid, they have Noel, and they have Okafor all on the floor at the same time, Simmons is going to be the only one that can get out and run in transition, isn't he? And then who do you have to? And then you have to play a
Just
game
find
of
a
half
two who's
court.
very quick. Well, that's fine. We'll go slow.
I'm not sure that. That's. I don't know.
It'll be a very specific kind of team, but I think it's one that will be difficult to beat.
It would be one that could be difficult to beat, but easy to figure out.
Well, then we'll just have to make sure all of our second stringers are very quick.
We'll see.
We'll build the wall. We'll open up the water. The wall just got 10 feet taller or something. I don't know.
We'll see.
Also, quick thing I just want to say. Does it bother you the amount of open contempt the Sixers organization seems to have for Sam Hinkie now, where they refuse to acknowledge his existence? It's like, okay, I understand he really did tank your basketball team, and I know some people are like, oh, that was stupid. A lot of people defend it. I'm on the side that it was a good decision. But it's like...
A good decision to get rid of him.
No, a good decision for him to do his thing. Because I'm like, I'd rather blow this all up and start from scratch than be like the 8th seed for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
But that's also coming from a Bills fan who watched us go like 8-8 for like 6 straight years. But especially because he explicitly told you he was going to, well, not explicitly said he was going to tank, but he pretty much laid out his map publicly and let it be a common knowledge thing. This isn't like the owner of like the Sacramento Kings who is perfectly content to like let his team like dulge around in the bottoms of the league and just collect the money from it. This guy gave you the blueprint. This guy was explicitly telling you, this is my plan and I'm going to do it. And I think eventually it'll pay off. I just wish we'd appreciate him more.
I think it's interesting because Philadelphia as a sports city can be pretty tough sometimes. And for the team to lose that badly for that long definitely did not help Sam Hinkie's image.
But he told us he was going to do it.
But that's not the point. Being that it's not.
Right.
It doesn't fit the mold very well of Philadelphia as a sports city. And Sam Hinkie really, another thing that kind of irked people was that he never really stepped into the light at all. You said he made public his plans. Sam Hinkie almost never stepped in front of the media to address them directly, which also did not help because they thought he was hiding. Maybe
he's afraid of microphones. Maybe a microphone murdered his family, and he hasn't been able to become a vigilante yet.
The point is, I was not the biggest fan of Sam Hinkie, and all of these things add up to say most of Philadelphia would not have been sad to see him go. But it's surprising the amount of social media love that Sam Hinkie still continues to get from a fairly
because it's
decent,
paying off already.
Fairly
we have
decent
good players now.
Population, and it's really interesting.
I'm one of those people.
It's really interesting.
All right, that's just something I wanted to discuss. Quick topic on the personal note: my Steven Universe watch. It's
back to
you know
the
what?
TV.
I was complaining about it. It's coming back. Have to wait 2 more weeks, granted, but then it's pretty much going to be every day for a large chunk of the summer. You know what? I complained to Cartoon Network, and they delivered. I don't want to say that I am an influencer on YouTube. I hate that word, influencer. Ugh, it's a new thing. It's a new term used by gaming media. Ugh, I don't like it. Like Nintendo, apparently, like certain companies will look out for YouTube influencers. It's gross. Anyway, I don't want to say I'm an influencer. I don't want to say that I'm some kind of prophet, some kind of genius who can see into the future and can change the course of reality based on what I want. That's for you guys to say. You guys say that, and I just do. Yeah, so I'm pretty excited. It's going to be fun. You have some time to catch up. 11-minute episodes. Put them on 1.25 speed. You can like that.
I don't know how you can do that. I did that once, and it was okay.
I just
but
got used to it. To be honest.
How do you? But
part
something.
of it's just because I'm always in a rush.
But something with a plot. How can you watch it at more than
to be honest,
regular speed?
To be honest, I've sort of thought about this, and I'm kind of embarrassed by it because a lot of people say it's like the death of story because it's like you're not getting the pacing and the narrate. It's like you're more interested in content than substance. But at the same time, I feel like if I can still register everything and appreciate it, then I think it's okay. I think it's just an acquired taste to the point where sometimes listening to stuff on regular speed feels slow. Like, I don't
know, man.
It's like, I only got so many hours in this life. Got to use them up efficiently.
I guess.
But yeah, so yay, Steven Universe. A couple giblets and bits. That's my term.
In the rundown, it literally says giblets and mac.
That's a reference to Red Robin's former item called riblets and mac. Very good. Wish they still made it. They actually have a new burger that I really want to try. That is a nacho cheeseburger. It's got pepper jack on it. It's got nacho. It's got like chips on it. It looks pretty good. I really want to go to Red Robin.
I haven't been to Red Robin in a while.
Me too. I really want to go.
There you go.
That and Six Flags. Those are my two pet projects this summer.
I've only been to Six Flags like once or twice.
I'm telling you, but it's fun.
Yeah. It might have been not since middle school.
Yeah. Wait, was that the one where we went with Andrew and we pranked him bad?
Yep.
Yeah, this kid, a friend of ours.
Great story.
A friend of ours really didn't like roller coasters. Really just terrified. Just didn't like them. And I understand that. A lot of people, not a fan. I love roller coasters, but that's just me. Anyway, so we're like, what was it? El Toro, I think?
No, dude. It was like the most
El Diablo?
No, it was Thunderball.
Thunderball. It wasn't the most intense at Six Flags?
No, it was like the least intense, but still legit nuts. Roller coaster that Six Flags
like it's
owns.
On the border. And so we're like, hey, this isn't that bad, man. It's barely even a roller coaster. It's nice and easy. So we're climbing up the cart thing.
And let's get something straight here. Carter is sitting in the car behind Andrew, who happened to be sitting with me for the whole rest of the ride. You may continue now.
So, as we're getting really close to the top, I just go, I lied. This is actually pretty crazy. And he loses his mind.
I believe the direct quote, and I think this is right, I still remember this to this day. You turn around and say, "Ha, we tricked you."
And he just starts screaming at us the whole ride.
Oh my gosh!
It was so funny. I was cracking up. It wasn't even that funny. It's just, I don't know. It just made me crack up.
Oh man!
The look on his face.
He was not pleased.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. That was also when that was a fun trip in general. It was for choir, right?
Yeah.
And we that was when I won that Kenny doll, the South Park Kenny character.
I don't even remember.
Because I was like, guys, we should play these boardwalk games, and I'm like, I secretly want to win this, so I'm gonna beat you guys, and I did. Boy, that plan would have looked ridiculous if I ended up losing. Yeah, that was a fun trip. I'm trying to get all of our friends to go to Six Flags. I just keep referencing it. Other news, something I was just skimming through my Twitter and noticed. Marvel is making a brand new super team to go with the X-Men and the Avengers. So this team will be called The Champions. It is a new book by Mark Waid and Humberto Ramos. I'm not familiar with his work. The premise is it's channeling a youthful sense of positivity and social activism. That is the most millennial sentence I've heard in my entire life. I'm expecting my phone to come alive and lecture me about the 1% with its Bernie Sanders sticker and talk about talk about trigger warnings and the student debts and occupying and the privilege.
And Brexit. Don't forget the Brexit.
And the Brexit. I'm being facetious, of course.
Only to a point.
Yeah, I'm being slightly facetious. And at the same time, looking at this, I'm actually excited for this because the leaders of the team will be Miss Marvel. That's the current one, Kamala Khan, who frankly is the best new comic book character we've had in probably 30 years, possibly like even longer. Like the first character who I feel like really embodies that like energy that we had back when like Spider-Man was. Well, obviously I wasn't alive then, but I'm like, if I were alive to see when Spider-Man first was created, I feel like it would be this same energy. Nova, who's a pretty fine, cool character. He's you remember the Nova Corps from Guardians of the Galaxy?
Yeah.
He's one of them.
Okay.
But a kid. And also Ultimate Spider-Man, who's Miles Morales. And again, he's one of him and Miss Marvel are the two like, you know what? Marvel's needed some new characters. These two are awesome. Love both of them. That actually sounds like a fun team. I like that Marvel's acknowledged that one of its secrets is sort of being able to gear itself toward teenagers and younger kids, and they're like sort of catering to that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really excited to see how that turns out, even if that sentence was very, very cringe-inducing. Yeah, I'm excited to see who they have. I'm interested. Maybe they'll have some X-Men because for some reason there are like 3 different X-Men teams. One of like they're all kids again. One where they're like the modern era adults, and then like a side team.
So this is going to be a TV show.
No,
it's going to be a movie.
It's a comic.
It's a comic.
No, it's not the. I don't
it's
know.
It's going to be a comic.
Yeah, they've been wanting to. We've been begging. People have been begging for a Miss Marvel movie for a while, but God knows when that's coming out. Maybe they'll have the new Hulk, who's slightly younger. Maybe they'll have the Vision's daughter. Yeah, the Vision has a whole family
Vision
now
has
of
a daughter?
cyborgs. Yeah, of cyborg. Well, he used to be married to Scarlet Witch. If you're wondering their like chemistry there in the Civil War,
Yeah.
why he's always like sort of around her,
Yeah.
that they become a couple. But he left her, now has a robot wife, and also robot kids. Never mind how that works.
I was just going to say, how does it even
Well,
work?
because he's partly synthetic. It's a comic. It doesn't have to make sense.
You're right, it doesn't.
Like, much like the movies, it's like the stories and ideas are not driven by logic or reason or careful plotting. They're more just driven by personality and emotion. And you know what? If you close your eyes, it makes sense. And you care about the characters, so you make it make sense. Other than that, do you have anything you want to add?
Final thought. It isn't 4th of July without Nathan's hot dog eating contest. Joey Chestnut
Just dominates.
lost his title last year
Comes
by
back.
2 hot dogs, shatters the record, 70 hot dogs in 10
Good for
minutes.
him.
Take
I
that.
love, as much as I don't like the guy who does all the introductions, I do love like everything in his life had become meaningless. Everything he had built for, but then he realized from the ashes comes anew. And I almost wish it was a closer race because I'm like that intro deserves something epic, whereas more just a beatdown. Also, you really come to appreciate how long 10 minutes are when you're watching people just gorge themselves. And nothing.
70
Really
hot
wish
dogs.
they'd stop using the close-ups.
10 minutes.
That's not healthy. That's not good, man.
What the heck?
It's
Man,
just to be honest.
That's unbelievable.
There's nothing grosser than when they drink or dip the buns in water. Ugh.
That is,
God,
you know what? I really don't enjoy that at all. Either.
Really wish they'd stop it with the close-ups.
Yeah.
How hard
I
is
don't
it to
like-
not do
I
the
don't
close-ups?
like that either,
Ugh.
Congratulations, Joey Chestnut,
Real American.
back in the winner's circle.
I
where he
like. I
very
know we're in
belongs.
some trying times in America. Like we're facing a crossroads of what kind of nation we want to be and how we're going to get there, and it can be scary out there. You know what? We need more people like him. Real heroes who define what it means to be an American. The look you're giving me right now. The look you're giving me.
I wouldn't go that far.
I'm going that far.
But congratulations to Joey
Yeah.
Chestnut.
Otherwise, that question I brought up. I've been meaning to do a bunch of. I kind of want to do at least like 1 or 2 icebreakers at the end of each show to get a sense of just for general discussion. The question I sort of asked you before the show. What is one thing you loved as a kid that you're now somewhat embarrassed you liked, or a teenager, 12-year-old or so?
I would probably it was probably at one point my knowledge of Disney movies and my love for Disney.
Yeah.
but then it kind of like
Disney follows a weird arc where it's like you love it
not
as a teenager, you're embarrassed.
It's not cool, and then now it's cool.
Yeah,
again.
well, because you appreciate it for like the artistry, you can come to appreciate it for other stuff and like the history of the company and stuff. No, I completely agree with you. That arc, everyone goes through that pretty much.
I think that's
well,
probably
most
what
people
I would
go
say.
through that, especially guys, where it's like now I am unironically fired up for Moana and Wreck-It Ralph 2.
They're making a second Wreck-It Ralph.
Oh, all right. You know what? We'll cover it. We'll talk about it next week because we're low on time.
Oh man!
All right. You know what? We'll deal with that next week.
All right. Okay.
One thing at a time.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. No, everyone does. No, I completely agree with you on that one. I guess for me, probably a lot of Comedy Central stuff, like Tosh Point oh. And I imagine Daniel Tosh is a good guy, but now watching it, you're kind of like, this is kind of. This feels like it belongs on MTV and not in a good way. Which explains why MTV has like 3 of those shows now.
The phrase "this belongs on MTV" hasn't been meant in a good way
since like maybe since Nirvana broke up.
It was before 2000, maybe a lot before 2000.
Yeah. Certain around when Nirvana broke up. Let's see. I want to say South Park, but at the same time, you know what? I still hold that some of those early seasons are gold, and even now they have 1 or 2 home runs.
Never watched South Park. Never was a big South Park fan.
No, I totally get why. A lot of the politics now sort of irk me off it, but yeah, I guess a lot of stuff there, like maybe The Matrix, because The Matrix is another interesting one because it's like. I've gotten so sick of like oh man, everything's corrupt. Oh, it's all part of some big conspiracy, man. Oh, it's all sides are evil. Like I've come to really hate that sort of philosophical approach to everything. Like open your eyes, sheeple. Like people who do that unironically. But in the wake of both Wachowskis coming out as transgender, I've come to appreciate it more. A lot of people are doing like sort of transgender studies of it, like seeing. Like the director's gaze through the eyes of someone who's transgender, and I will admit I still don't like it, but I appreciate it a lot more looking at a lot of like little things they do that like make sense in the mind of someone who is going through approaching gender in a different way, like how Hugo Weaving always refers to him at Neo as Mr. Anderson and always emphasizes Mr. Like you can't be Neo because that's gender neutral. Like things like that. Still probably a little embarrassed by it. Yeah, I guess those would be my big ones. I thought it was an interesting question. If you guys have answers, you can share them in the comments. All one of our subscribers. Like, comment, and subscribe. Hashtag Team Followback.
Hashtag Canada Dry.
Yeah, hashtag Canada Dry.
We're still pushing for that Canada Dry sponsorship.
Yeah. This week was sponsored by Peace. Peace. It's good. Also, on the Twitter sphere, Michael Grove, who essentially he was one of the biggest ringleaders behind the Leave campaign, but he was like the brains and Boris Johnson was the orangutan-esque face. The bam bam, pudgy, disgusting face. Hey man, you know what? If you're going to be out in I shouldn't insult other people's looks, but come on, man. Come on. Anyway, he's like, we need to have a, quote, new relationship with the EU, one built on free trade and cooperation. Did you not already have those things?
Isn't that what the EU tries to promote?
Yeah, I don't know how to... I'm terrible with trade lingo, but it's like, you could have had those things in the EU.
Right. Right.
And also, you know how Donald Trump, when any like Mexican leader says something along the lines of what's it called? Whenever like a Mexican leader's like, we're not paying for this wall, he always goes, that wall just got 10 feet taller. Well, that's what it's a shame he's an unrepentant racist and a horrible person, because I love that level of, like, 5th grader, like, arrogance. Like, I love that. Like, I love people who say that. Like, it's a shame about everything else. But anyway, I kind of want when England inevitably comes crawling back, I want the EU to essentially be like that. Like, oh, you thought we overregulated you before? Well, now guess what? That wall just got 10 feet taller, biatch. Like, I kind of want that.
We went from talking about Joey Chestnut to the Brexit. How did it come back to the Brexit?
It always comes back to the Brexit. It's always about the Brexit. Actually, it's about ethics and Brexiting.
Oh boy, we've had just an eclectic day. It might be time.
It looks like it's time to wrap up. Thanks anyone for listening. Had a great time. Until next time, I'm Carter.
I'm Nick.
Have a lovely week.
America!